So, you've discovered the wonderful sport of paramotoring. You've probably been watching countless YouTube videos, researching the costs associated, maybe the risks, and you've decided you want to get involved in this fantastic world of aerial shenanigans. But how do you do it? I've made a few videos in the past, but I want to make an updated 2022 version of how I would suggest someone that has zero paramotoring experience goes from zero to hero. Now I'm going to break this video down into 3 different categories. First, pre-training. What are some steps you can do before you seek actual training? Second, what are your training options? How do you find an instructor or a school? And third, gear. What kind of stuff should you buy? When should you buy it? Maybe some stuff you should avoid. The good news is 2022, where we are right now, it's probably never been a better time to get into the sport. The sport is just growing. Manufacturing, engines, wing technology, everything is better than ever. Even instruction. There's some of the best schools out there right now. Wind conditions right now are not ideal, but we're gonna go up anyway. We're gonna fly around in the freezing cold and let's see how it goes. People are driving by at this park and just staring at me talking to my camera. So let's get in the air. That's less awkward.
So like I mentioned, we're going to break this down into 3 topics: pre-training, training, and then gear. So let's start off with number 1, pre-training. And I think before you even start thinking about training, which in my opinion is pretty much mandatory, as far as pre-training goes, I think number 1, you got to start with the right mindset. I can't tell you how many emails I've gotten from people that start off with something like, I used to ride street bikes, I'm really good on a skateboard, my father's great aunt was a flight attendant, my uncle's second cousin used to own an ultralight. I typically pick things up really quick, so I don't want to be stuck on a beginner wing. I want the hottest, fastest wing money can buy, because I know I'm going to grow out of that stupid beginner wing really quickly. And to that I say, I don't care what background you have. I don't care if you're a fixed wing pilot, a skydiver. I think you should always start your journey into the paramotor world with a humble attitude. Along the same trend, I often hear stories of people who show up to training and their expectations are really off. They don't realize how difficult the sport actually is or how much physical demand on your body it actually requires. I think it's mostly because people watch a lot of YouTube videos of pilots that are pretty advanced level and they make it look easy, truthfully, but they don't realize when they actually get the training that it's not easy and it requires a lot of skill and finesse and some level of physical strength. What's up, horses? They're just staring directly at me. Another common trend is I hear people say, I've watched so many YouTube videos, I think I'm ready to just do it. I know how to fly. And it's like, nah man, you've watched some YouTube videos. You don't know how to fly a paramotor yet. Look at those deer just prancing through the field. YouTube videos are good though. They're good inspiration. Oh Jesus, there's more deer. They are booking it. Sorry fellas. Yeah, watch YouTube videos, use them as inspiration, use them to gather some basic knowledge, but don't treat them as education. What I can tell you, if you want to get some really good education before you enter training, read the book called The PPG Bible. It's written by Jeff Gowen, who's been flying paramotors for a very long time. He's also an airline pilot, so he knows his stuff. The book basically details a little bit of everything paramotor related, from weather to gear, and even some cross-country stuff, which I'm actually featured on one of the pages. Shameless self-promotion. If you want to pick up the book, get it on tuckergott.com, first link in the description. If you're serious about getting into paramotors and you want to get a head start, go ahead and read that. And now we get our 5G radiation for the day. Nothing's tingling, that's a good sign. Now here's where it gets tricky. That book can give you a lot of good knowledge, but a lot of people want to get a jump start on their skills. And a lot of people want to buy gear right away. And that's kind of a controversial topic, but we'll get to that when we start talking about gear on the 3rd bullet point. However, it's generally recommended that you wait to buy gear so you don't put the cart before the horse. You don't know what you don't know, and by the time you go through training, you know a lot more and you're ready to buy your gear. There's a hunter down there. I don't know what he's doing. He's just pulling a little cart. Try not to disturb it. As far as gear goes, though, if you want to start developing some skills, there is one thing I can recommend, and that is pick up a kiting wing. Now, Ozone makes a specific kiting wing called the Roadrunner. It's 14 square meters, so it's really small. It's designed only for kiting. I did a video review on it a while back. I really enjoyed the wing, and I can see how a student prior to training could pick up something like that and somewhat safely start learning some ground handling skills, which is essentially the foundation of learning how to fly a paramotor. Pick up a Roadrunner and watch Aviator Paramotor's video that they did on kiting. It's about an hour long. It's really comprehensive. It'll get you all the basic knowledge of how to clip into your glider, how to grab the brakes and the A's on the risers, and put you through some drills. Now, if you're going to do that, there is a little bit of danger, so I would only recommend going out in a wide open space in somewhat mellow conditions, like 10 miles an hour of wind or less. And then when you go to training, you're going to be like a superstar student that already knows how to clip in their glider, already knows the basics of kiting. Well, I found an interesting cloud layer here. I don't think I'm going to proceed any higher. It looks a little bit misty up there, so we'll just glide on back down. Anyway, topic number 2, training. Now, while training is not legally required to learn how to fly a paramotor, I pretty much say that it's mandatory. Don't go out and teach yourself how to do this. It's not worth it. You're probably going to have a bad time. As far as training goes, there's a couple things I can recommend. When you're seeking an instructor, find someone that you trust. I'll say that there's some squirrely people out there that are teaching people how to fly paramotors nowadays. And just talk to your instructor, see if they seem legit, if you get along with them, if there's someone that you feel like you can trust your life with. If you get a weird vibe, just go somewhere else. Oh, my hands are frozen. Other things to look for in training is how the class is laid out. Some courses are like 2 weeks long, intensive. You're there every single day, and by the end of it, you leave with 25 to 50 flights, and you're feeling confident and good to go. Other courses are kind of weekend deals where Joe Schmo runs out of his back shed, and you might miss every other weekend because of weather, and then it's hit or miss over the course of a couple months. You get in the air, and that can work, and some people do courses like that. I normally recommend going to an intensive course where you can fully immerse yourself in the experience. Another thing to look for is if the school offers equipment for you to learn on, if they have actual school motors and wings. I think a good course will have a variety of different wings and different sizes for you to fly and kite throughout training, and a variety of different motors for you to try. A good resource, if you're looking for a school near you, is the USPPA website. If an instructor or a school is certified through this organization, which is kind of like a voluntary establishment sort of thing, if they're part of the USPPA, they're probably legit. If you guys have been watching this channel for a while, you know I always recommend Aviator Paramotor. They're the guys that I learned with in Lake Wales, Florida. And since I learned with them, I really think they're like one of the top schools in the United States. I can confidently recommend them. I go back there pretty much every year. There are plenty of good schools across the U.S., so do your research. But if you do sign up with Aviator, make sure you mention my name, that I was the one that recommended you go there, and I'll shoot you an email and send you a free t-shirt from Risky Biscuits Co. Alright, let's talk about some gear. Now, like I said, this is kind of a controversial topic. I think in general, it's best if you wait until after training. That way you have a little bit of experience on certain motors and wings. Maybe you have certain preferences. However, I do know that lead times can be difficult right now, especially with COVID. And a lot of people don't want to go through training and then have to wait a month or two for their gear to arrive, which I totally understand. Here's the good news. Gear, especially wings, have progressed so far that any A-rated, which is a beginner glider, pretty much any manufacturer right now, if you buy their beginner glider, it's going to be a solid glider. There are a lot of nuances between them, and I've tried out a lot of them. And personally, I really like Ozone, which is the manufacturer of the freeride I'm flying right now, which is why I'm a dealer for them specifically. That's my personal preference. And under the Ozone line, they make the Mojo and the Spider / Roadster, which is like the B category of wing. Now, what I typically recommend is if you sign up for training with someone like Aviator, your first flights are guaranteed going to be on an A-wing, something like the Mojo. Now, after 25, 50 flights, if you're killing it and you're nailing all your launches and landings, you're someone who's kind of a natural, let's say, you might be ready to progress to a Spider or a Roadster, a B category wing. And your instructor can help you figure that out. Oh, wow. Trashy air right here. Your instructor can help you make that decision and can actually help you transition onto your next Spider. But in general, I recommend those two options, either the A-Wing, the Mojo, or the B-Wings, the Spider / Roadster. And the Spider is just a lightweight version of the Roadster, essentially. Regardless, either of those two options, like I've mentioned, shameless self-promotion. I'm a dealer for Ozone. I really like their stuff. If you're looking for any of those wings, feel free to hit me up, info@tuckergott.com, and I can help you out with that sort of thing. I think we're about to conclude our flight. I have one last thing to talk about, and that's motors, aka the paramotor, the fan part. As far as the actual paramotor goes, there's a lot more variety out there. However, a lot of different paramotors use the same engine power plant, and the company I recommend the most is Vitarazi. They make an Atom 80 and a Moster 185, and the Moster is the one that's pushing me through the sky right now. Basically, if you're a lightweight pilot, the Atom 80 is for you. If you're a average size human or heavier pilot, the Moster is what I would recommend. Now, the vast majority of paramotor engines are two-stroke engines. They're not 100% reliable, but I think Vitarazi has pretty much the best track record, the best parts availability, all the above. So if you buy any paramotor, I would recommend getting a Vitarazi power plant on that motor. Now, as far as the actual paramotor goes, I've been flying this Parajet Maverick for a while, and I've been really liking it. As far as like for beginners, it's made of titanium, so if you do bend it, you can normally bend it back. It's a somewhat compact design, which is good for beginners. I really don't think you can go wrong with it. But obviously there are a lot of other options on the market. I really do love the Scout. As far as beginner friendliness goes, it is carbon fiber, so a small impact can do a lot of damage. But the good side is you can repair carbon fiber fairly easily and cheaply. It offers really good ergonomics if you're trying to advance into things like wing overs and slalom type maneuvers. There's a plethora of different paramotors out there. The biggest thing I would recommend is don't try to cut corners. I know when I was getting into it, budget was a big thing, but I would highly advise against going on Craigslist or eBay and trying to pick up something cheap, because this is something you're trusting your life with. You don't know what the last guy did to it. You don't know if the engine blew up and he rebuilt it. You don't know if a swing arm bolt is about to pop and cause a massive weight shift differential and throw you spiraling into the ground. For your own peace of mind and safety, I highly recommend getting something that's at least somewhat new and modern. But yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna kill my engine and stow my throttle, and my fingertips are frozen.
So I hope you guys found some of those tips helpful. I hope that gave you some direction of where to go if you're in that position where you're looking to get into the sport. Obviously, throughout the episode, I mentioned I have a lot of shameless self-promotions, and I just want to say, like, aside from YouTube and aside from the clothing of Risky Biscuits Co., throughout the past year, I've been trying to build more and more into the actual paramotor industry. becoming a dealer for products, stocking propellers, having the PPG Bibles in the store and in stock at all times. And that has been one of the most satisfying and fun aspects in the past year of running YouTube and doing this sort of thing for a living. I do want to give a huge thank you to anyone who has trusted me with their business so far and ordered a wing or a propeller or a reserve or harness or anything through me. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a cool way to connect with people and hear their stories of how they got interested in the sport and then actually see them become pilots. Aside from that, regardless of how you decide to get into the sport, I hope you do it safely. I hope you do it in the most fun way possible and you take full advantage, because the sport is truly something that's life-changing. I think it's one of the most fun activities ever, and that's what this YouTube channel has been all about, just sharing it with people and trying to get other people involved. That's all I got for this one. Till the next episode, have fun, fly safe. Peace.